New research has highlighted the crucial role social media has played in the organisation of mass migrant crossings. After more than 72,000 Moroccans entered a Spanish enclave last week, DW travelled to the region to speak to some of those who subsequently returned home to find out what drove them to join the movement.
Less than a week after the events in which tens of thousands of migrants attempted to reach Ceuta, neighbouring Fnedec, shown here in relation to the Spanish enclave, has returned to its usual rhythm. Yet the heavy presence of security forces serves as a reminder of what happened only recently. For many of those who made the crossing, those memories are painful.
After only 2 days in Ceuta, I prayed to God to let me return home. It was only there that I truly realised what a blessing my homeland is. It really is a blessing. As for the humiliation and violence, I was beaten by a soldier. Look at my arm. What if that blow had landed on my head? What would have happened to me then?
So what made Mohammed, who works as a barber in Fnedec, join the more than 60,000 that stormed Ceuta in the first place?
I can still feel a sense of belonging to my country, but the next generation won't. That's the responsibility of those in charge who have neglected this country. They don't provide hospitals, schools, or many other basic necessities. If those things existed, the situation would be completely different.
It was a similar story for Hamza, who also made the crossing after growing disenchanted with life in his hometown.
This is the neighbourhood of Wed. It's very close to Ceuta, yet there's a world of difference between them and us.
Hamza feels he was given little choice but to try to leave.
I come from Sidi Slimane. It's a neglected city, economically, socially, in every sense. There are no sports facilities, no cultural activities. Living there is like living in a cemetery. I was waiting for a taxi when I suddenly saw people running. I asked what was happening, and the first person I spoke to said, "The gate to Ceuta is open." So I thought, if Ceuta is open, why are we still standing here?
In these narrow streets, where unemployment is high and job opportunities are scarce, migration is no longer just a dream for many young people. It has become what they see as their only chance to change their lives.
I want to leave Morocco and go somewhere else. I've lost all hope. I tried to reach Ceuta, but I can't swim. People were pushing each other and pulling one another underwater. That's why I had to give up and turn back.
Fnedec's local economy is still suffering from the border closure during the COVID-19 pandemic and the end of cross-border trade, which once provided a livelihood for thousands of families. At Al Masira market, traders speak of a prolonged economic turndown. They say the city has never regained the vitality it once had.
Many shopkeepers have given up their businesses. In this shop alone, 5 employees lost their jobs. And across the street, there are another 5 or 6. And in another shop, 4 more. My daughter and my son have also emigrated. My daughter has a teaching degree and my son's only 16. If even children of 14, 15, 16 are thinking about leaving, what hope is there for adults?
A small town whose economy was closely tied to Ceuta for many years is now facing growing economic and social challenges.
The lack of future prospects and the clear failure of government policies, especially youth policy, have become impossible to ignore. It's no coincidence that thousands of people decided one morning to head for Ceuta. For them, Ceuta is only a stopover on the way to Spain.
For many, it seems, reaching the enclave of Ceuta was as much about taking a stand as it was a genuine attempt at migration.
Well, Maldita is a Spanish non-profit fact-checking organisation. They've identified the major role played by social media in the organisation of Moroccan migrant crossings to Ceuta. At least 4 WhatsApp groups, 10 Facebook groups and more than 50 Instagram accounts have been used to discuss plans for crossing from Morocco into the Spanish enclave. These include last week's mass movement and another planned in about a week. This online activity has intensified in recent days and is being closely monitored by authorities. Well, Well, Álvaro García Hernández is an editor at Maldita. He told me about what's known about this new planned crossing from Morocco into Ceuta in a week.
Yeah, we cannot predict the future. However, we are aware of discussions on social media platforms and also on chat groups. We have entered in several WhatsApp groups, around 20, and we're seeing that they want to repeat the events of July 30. But they said that on this occasion, both Moroccan and Spanish authorities are aware of what is reportedly being planned. So they're changing the dates on when they want to enter. They are talking about August 10th, August 13th. They're also talking about Melilla, another Spanish city in Northern Africa.
And you believe this is, they want to do this despite the fact that so many of the people who crossed last time have returned to Morocco?
So there have been some messages saying that they want to repeat what they did on July 30. So maybe people who were returned to Morocco want to do it again.
Right.
And they are organizing things. They're talking about how to move to the frontier or to the border or cities near the border, how to maybe rent boats or rent houses to stay until the day they cross. So we cannot assure it's going to happen, but they're talking about organizing something.
Tell us more about your investigation. How did you infiltrate these online groups organising these crossings?
Well, before July 30, some media in Spain, they were talking about some groups called Haraga, that it means burning, and it refers to burning papers, documents, and it's used for these irregular crossings. And they were talking about some groups. They were public groups on Facebook. We just searched for them and we found them. And it was thanks to these public Facebook groups that we entered the WhatsApp groups, because they just share the links to the WhatsApp groups and you can enter. It is true that they change and they create new groups because they are aware that they might be police infiltration in these groups or people who want to know their plans, but they are groups that they share publicly.
Right. And who is organising all of this and for what purpose?
So we don't really know who's behind. We have seen that there like people telling them what to do or proposing like when to do it, or just asking, hey, it is better to do it this day, or even planning how to do it. But we don't know who's behind these groups, who are these people. So we cannot assure if there are other actors involved.
Right. And so, as far as you can tell, the groups that you infiltrate, this was more about logistics, how, where, when, not about money. Was there any discussion of fees or payments?
Yes, they mentioned how to rent boats to cross to Ceuta, or even people offering their boats and saying, hey, I have a boat or I have a house, you can stay, I have a room, I can rent you. So please talk to me privately, and I will let you know if I'm available, or we just find how to do it, or people asking to rent a car for several people to move from one city to another in Morocco. So they're also talking about money.
Okay. So I'm slightly confused now. So in the groups that you've infiltrated, is this individuals who are trying to get from Ceuta to Spain, organising themselves, or are there bigger groups like we keep hearing of, organised crime groups who are setting these up and they are manoeuvring the whole thing?
That's something we don't know. They look like very organic messages, like people desperate to leave Morocco. There are messages of despair about the situation in Morocco. They also talk about some political situation in Spain, but we don't really know if there's someone behind them. But what we have found is that they want to leave Morocco to go to Ceuta.
So tell us more then. You touched on it there about the motivations of the people who are trying to make this move from Ceuta to Spain. What's driving them out of Morocco? What's attracting them to Spain?
So they're talking about the situation in Morocco. They are not happy with the government, or the regime in Morocco, with the king. They're criticizing some measures, but they also talking about a Supreme Court ruling made public in early July in Spain that has been misinterpreted, because they were saying that people could cross to Spain and they wouldn't be thrown back to Morocco. It's partially true. It's true that if they crossed when there weren't barriers, they could cross to Spain without being sent back to Morocco. But it was something they used to encourage people to cross the border, and it was something because of the despair of people wanting to leave Morocco.
Good talking to you, Álvaro. Thank you so much for joining us. Álvaro García Hernández from Maldita.es.